A big benefit of wireframe designs is being able to take that wireframe element, which is a shape with stitches inside of it, and you can manipulate that shape. You can grab that edge, you can move the edge. You can grab that point, you can move the point. You can change the point, you can delete the point. And you've got a lot of visual cues through the cursor as to what you can do. And then you also have a lot of functionality with the keyboard adding to the click of the mouse and the drag of the mouse to manipulate those shapes. So let's look at those commands and those cues and see if we can't get you wireframe editing. So first of all, I have a wireframe element selected. It's got the resize edit box around it. And I am in wireframe editing mode, which is the default mode, but it's this guy up here. And then let's look at the cursor as it is. Right now, it's got the up and down, left and right arrow, which just means I can click on this and drag this wherever I would like. So I'm going to undo a couple times. And as I move my cursor around, it will change. And as I hover over different things, it will show me what I'm getting set to do. So with the resize edit box, I can resize. So this is just vertical, over on the side is just horizontal, over on the corner is both, and you see that that arrow changes. But as I move over this blue line, and it's a little bit hard to see, it's a little easier to see over here, the edge of the wireframe shape is a blue line. As I hover over that, my cursor gets a little line beside it. And what that means is I can either click and drag, which will allow me to move that line, or if I left click, I will add a straight point, or if I right click, I will add a curve point. So that's what that allows me to do. And if I hover over a curve point, I get a little circle by my cursor. If I hover over a straight point, I get a little triangle. So that's how I know, am I going to here add a point if I click, or here select a wireframe point if I click. So depending on what my cursor is telling me, I know what will happen if I click or if I drag. Other things you may see, if you click on a curve point or a straight point that is on a curve, you will see this red line with this little black handle, and if I hover over the handle, you will see that little square, and that just means if I click and drag on that, I will be moving that Bezier handle. Now the difference between a curve point and a straight point is really how the handles act. If I move one handle on a curve point, its partner will move as well. So I can move this and the other one moves. Now if this was a straight point on a curve, so I just added a point on that line, if I move one handle, the other one stays. So that's the big difference between these little circles and these little triangles. They both can have Bezier handles coming off of them. They both can be a part of a curve. But if the line goes through for the Bezier handles and it is attached on both sides, and if you move one and the other one moves, that's what makes a curve point a curve point. Whereas with straight points, I can move one and the other one does not move. Okay, so now let's look at how to edit these wireframe points. So first of all, to add one, left click to create a straight point, right click to create a curve point. If I don't want them, you'll notice that when they are selected, they are filled in with black. If I don't want one, have one selected and press delete on the keyboard, and it will go away. If I don't like where one is, I can click and drag to move it, and it will move the Bezier handles as they are. If I'm over the line, I can also just click and drag on the line. If I want to manipulate the line itself and not add points, I can do that. And notice how, because this is a curve point, those handles move on either side as I move this. If I want this to be a perfect arc, I can hold Control as I drag on this curve point, and it will arc out perfectly. Let's go move this up, give ourselves a little bit more room. If I want to add a handle to a point, I can hold Shift and click and drag out of there, and that will add handles to these points. If I want to change a point from one to another, I can hold Shift and click on it, and it will change it. The other thing you could do, if it's selected, you could right-click and go to Properties, and you get the properties of that point, so then you could change it with this radio button. And notice that the difference between these is not noticeable because the handles are locked in. It is only noticeable if I try to edit those handles. And all I was doing was holding Shift and clicking on it to change it. You could also double click on a selected point to bring up those properties. If you want to keep the Bezier handle in the line that it is in, you can hold Control as you drag it, and it will be locked into that line. Now, what if I have a curve, like here, that I don't want? I can't delete a Bezier handle by clicking on it and deleting the way that I would a wireframe point, but if I hover over that line, if I hold Control and I right-click, it will straighten out that line. And notice that if I straighten out a line segment, the points on either side of it become those triangular straight points. Even though this has a handle coming off of it, I deleted the handle off of that side by holding Control and right-clicking on the line. So just with a few additional keyboard shortcuts, either usually holding the Control key or the Shift key, you have changed the left click and the right click and the click and drag into way more wireframe editing commands.